Prime Minister is in Jakarta in Indonesia to attend the 20th ASEAN-India Summit and the 18th East Asia Summit. A new initiative to boost the India-ASEAN maritime security cooperation is likely to be unveiled after the PM holds summit talks with the leaders of the 10-nation influential bloc in Jakarta. Remember, Indonesia is the chair of ASEAN and the Prime Minister will be there for about a day, after which he will return for the big heads of state summit in the national capital. In fact, the Prime Minister also talked about how India is emerging as a leader of the global south, as a voice of the global south. Well, this visit of the Prime Minister is crucial diplomatically in more ways than one, given the fact that this is the first time that the Prime Minister is going for the ASEAN Summit after India and ASEAN elevated their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Trade, energy, climate change, of course, are all focus areas. And of course, India there leading as the voice of the global south. So the Prime Minister has a packed visit there. The Prime Minister is visiting Indonesia on the invitation of the Indonesian President. He will also be attending the East Asia Summit apart from the India-ASEAN Summit. And Cecilia Sinabariba is now joining us from Jakarta, from Metro TV. Thanks very much for joining us live on the broadcast. Cecilia, give us a sense of how important the Prime Minister's visit is as far as the ASEAN-India Summit is concerned, because of course this is something that the Prime Minister and indeed the Indian government has emphasized here as well as the leader of the G20, that India is emerging as a voice of the global south. Is that the sentiment in Indonesia? How does Indonesia and all the member countries of ASEAN look at India?
Yeah, India has a potential to strengthen the connection between India and ASEAN. Sure, of course, particularly talking about the relation between Indonesia and India. There are many interesting things about India, especially because its fantastic economic progress, of course, and achievement in information technology. Indonesia, in particular, continues to consistently demonstrate improved relation with India at all levels, including political, economic, social, cultures, defense, security, and of course, about climate change issue. And bilateral relations between Indonesia and India actually have developed rapidly since the visit of the President of the Republic of Indonesia in 2005, which resulted to the Indonesian-India new strategic partnership, which was later upgraded to become a comprehensive strategic partnership in 2018 under President Joko Widodo. And Indonesia is an important country, of course, for Indonesia. First, we will talk about the economic sector. India is a very large market for Indonesian product trade between the two countries, which $32 billion in 2022, with a surplus for Indonesia of around $14 billion. India is one of the largest consumer, of course, of Indonesian palm oil and Indonesian coal. On July this year, Indonesian Minister of Finance Sri Mulyani Indrawati and Indian Minister of Finance of India Nirmala Sitharaman strengthened the bilateral cooperation by establishing an economic and financial cooperate dialogue. Not just economy, actually. We can see from the health sector, India is the pharmacy of the world, especially we see and talk about the COVID-19 these past 2 years, the world's largest provider of generic drugs, of course.
Right, and Cecilia, also, what is the larger significance of ASEAN as a bloc? Because, last year we also saw that ASEAN and India, in a sense, elevated their ties to a comprehensive strategic partnership. Yeah. At a time when we are seeing shifting global dynamics, how significant is ASEAN diplomatically?
Yeah, the importance of ASEAN can also be seen actually from the share of foreign investment inflows in the region compared to the global sector, which continues to increase. One of the important advantages that Southeast Asia or ASEAN has now compared to other regions experiencing population aging. ASEAN is dominated by young people. Currently, around 60% of the total population of 650 million people in Southeast Asia is less than 35 years old. And looking at the holding of this year's summit, this ASEAN Summit, President Joko Widodo, as chairman of ASEAN 2023, always emphasized the importance of maintaining regional stability and security. Of course, this is to be able to develop various sectors in ASEAN and the Indo-Pacific. India is also part of Indo-Pacific, especially the economy. Like this ASEAN time, this year is, of course, epicenter of growth. And this is a mission for ASEAN to improve and to show to the world, of course.
Lastly, Cecilia, very quickly, so the Prime Minister has quite a packed day there. What all is on agenda?
Yeah, the President, of course, I heard that the President will be a bilateral meeting with the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, after that. And there will be a closing ceremony of the ASEAN Summit this year held by Indonesia. So we hope actually there will be a significant document that the leaders of ASEAN can show to the world, especially to prove that ASEAN is still relevant. And we have to prove that the implementation of ASEAN Outlook and Indo-Pacific is real to maintain the stability of the region.